This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Cindy will probably come any moment because we're expecting her. But anyway, did everybody get a chance to look over the minutes and agenda before coming?
Yes.
Does anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I move that we accept the minutes from last meeting.
Okay.
Seconded.
Second, okay. Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, does anybody have any public speak? I think we should go around and introduce.
Yeah, we have Art Workspace Easthampton on the agenda, so I think it's better to save it for a discussion, but I think we can go around and introduce ourselves.
Okay, great. Well, welcome.
Hello.
I think we're just going to go around and introduce ourselves officially. I think you know some of us here. I'm Tracy Eller. I am the chair of the committee. I'm a photographer. Used to live in Eastworks, but now I live on Hendrick Street. It's so weird to say that because I'm so used to saying, oh, I live in Eastworks building. Anyway, but just I'm a champion for the arts here. I just love Easthampton because we do appreciate arts and we have a wonderful artist community. So that's about me.
I'm Ted Perch. I'm retired. I do produce a program at Easthampton Media, and generally I support the arts. So short and sweet.
You want to go?
Sure. So I'm Ian Wilson. I moved to Northampton a few years ago, and I've got this on the THIC cooperative, the Heavy Culture Cooperative that's been trying to find a venue space the last couple of years. So we're working to try to purchase One Northampton, the old massage school, and use the first floor in that building as a venue and find a use for the second floor, which is why I'm here.
Great. Well, welcome. Welcome for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Being here. I'm Pasqualina. You all know me. I had the pleasure of meeting with Ian this past week and look forward to bringing people up to date on what we've been talking about.
I'm Steve Colacelli. I make donuts out of a big pink van, which is parked right outside now because I had to drive it today. And as of last month, I am the new chair of the Easthampton Cultural Council, which is a grant-giving arm of the Mass Cultural Council. So just very involved in the arts along with my wife, and we also, together with her, put on Porch Fest.
Allison Manuel, or Allie, either. I'm the planning director. This is only my second meeting, so I don't really have anything too interesting to offer quite yet.
My name is Peter Fillet. For my job currently, I work as an academic advisor at UMass. My background is in theater and music. Currently, I do more music. I'm the music director at Easthampton Congregational Church.
All right. So that's a little bit about us. Anyway, so let's.
Hey, Cindy. It's okay.
Cindy, we got you a spot right over here.
Thanks.
We were just introducing ourselves because Ian is here sitting in, and so you want to just.
I'm Cindy. Hi. And I'm part of the Oxbow Gallery on Cottage Street, and I try to facilitate communication with the gallery members and Easthampton City Arts Council. So And yeah. And were the minutes okay? I was like, oh my God, I probably left out so many things.
No, you did great.
No,
Actually, we were
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
All right, it worked out, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm taking notes until, so. All right, so let's just dive up into the updates.
Okay. So the first part of our meeting is just gonna be some quick updates to some of our programs, and then we'll get into the deeper discussions. So we had another great art walk this past weekend. It was very well attended. City Space continued to do their bluegrass, which was like just awesome on so many accounts. There used to be some like scheduling issues with performances there the night of Art Walk, so having this brings in a lot of people who might not otherwise come to Art Walk, and then there's live music in the building. Like, it's just a very great feeling. We had a lot of participants in terms of venues that were open, but I heard really great things about Art Walk, and as I walked around, people were out and about, and it was great to see. So
It was freezing too, right? Wasn't
it was chilly, yeah, it
like
got
the
cold
weather
that night.
changed, yeah.
Exactly. Public art, we had our annual Have a Heart for Public Art fundraiser brunch. I can't believe that was only yesterday. It was like a lifetime ago now. But it was very successful. We had a 100-seat cap on tickets. We sold 110 because we opened it up a little bit. We had a silent auction. We made these beautiful puzzles. Last year's brunch, and just in case people don't know, Galaxy covers they provide all of the food, all of their staffing, everything, so that 100% of what we raise goes to ECA and our public art initiative. So it's like incredibly generous. He went above and beyond. It was a beautiful spread. People were very happy. We had live music and local vocalists, and it was just very, very lovely, a very good community spirit. And I haven't done like the final tally, but I know we made more than $5,200. Last year we hit the 5,000 mark. And then we had done it 2 years prior to COVID, and we made like 2,200 and 2,800. And we were like happy with that then. So it's just very encouraging to continue to do this, and it was wonderful. It was really, we had a number of people from Thick came. It was awesome to see folks showing up. And it was just a very beautiful day. It was also very motivating. I do just want to, I was like at the brunch, I'm like, so I don't even know if we've talked about this here, and I'm sorry if we haven't. Olive, our marketing and graphic design person, has been working on these maps of public art. I think we did talk about it once, like we should have these at Art Walk and incorporate public art into Art Walk. Well, now this beautiful map exists, and it covers any municipal. We decided it would be best because there's a lot of public art that's private, and it's like we don't want to cover every single thing. So anything that was organized by a municipal entity. So it includes ECA mural or ECA public art, Easthampton Cultural Council, and the Manhan Rail Trail. And so it's just a really nice record, document. It will become outdated like this year, but that's okay. This QR code goes to the public art page on our website, and the Public Art Committee had decided a few months ago that we wanted to make placards of the QR code and put them on every piece of public art in Easthampton, and I just received the proof for them today. So we can't do any epoxying until it's warmer, so we will have all of our plaques set before springtime. So I think that'll be a really nice like connectivity piece as well with public art. So we've got flyers. We've now got, I bought a button maker, lifelong dream. It's like the first sentence on like minutes, like Pasqualina bought a button maker. Very happy. I thought these were too small, so I went ahead and bought a second button maker. This is my own personal, like I've always wanted one, for a little bit bigger. And stickers, you guys are all welcome to any of this stuff. And so, yeah, it was just a very, so, you know, we had all these things. We made this little poster. Thought it was really nice of our public art.
cool.
So we're gonna have a table set up at Cultural Chaos. We'll be selling puzzles, we'll promote public art, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, lots of little exciting things coming together there. Also, I will just say that the Public Art Committee, we like to have a like something tangible that the fundraiser each year is for. So last year it was for the restoration of that mural. This year we're working toward putting together a brand new community-generated mosaic mural. And so we don't know where it will be, but we can call on community members to bring in your broken plates and like da-da-da-da-da, and we're gonna craft together a vision for that. But now we have $5,200 to go toward that project.
Question from the Oxbow, and this relates to the Arts Walk, and you know that like flyer you sent around of the map, the email you sent around of the map? Question from the Oxbow is like, is there a budget in the ECA to actually make like printed color maps, you know, to have at the gallery? Because we've just been like running them off, like I would just like run to the printer and do like 25 or 30 copies, but that was a question, like, is that something that could be done, like a nice little map like this, you know, that's kind of like there at the gallery to be like, here, if you've been at the Oxbow, go walk down and up to Union and
Well,
check out
the,
City
no,
Space.
but these are gonna be.
This'll be this.
No,
this
the
was-
Art Walk map.
Like this is
Art
like,
Walk.
Oh,
Yeah, the
I see
monthly-
what you're saying, I see what
So,
you're saying, I thought you meant
yeah,
that,
it's no problem
not to be
print them.
pushy, I
It's
just
not
was-
pushy.
okay.
When I
I was
got
bringing
here,
up the shuttle bus.
when I got here, I did want to follow up on that. When I got here 8 years ago, they'd print the map, and then there'd be volunteers running around Easthampton dropping off maps, and then at the end of every art walk,
Yeah, 100
they'd
maps.
all be in the recycling. Like,
Yeah.
it just was like
Yeah, yeah.
not.
I'll bring that
So-
back, okay.
So I'm not saying no, I'm just saying, so now we have a system for making the map.
Yeah,
That is good. I send it out, people can print it.
yeah,
We make it the Wednesday before Art Walk. It's
Okay.
no problem for us to print some.
Yeah.
There's the logistical piece of distributing them.
yeah, yeah.
So what I could say is like,
Come pick them up at the, right?
yeah, but they're like here during the day, and then I could bring them to Old Town Hall. There's just
Yeah,
like a
okay.
but we can figure it out.
Okay. I mean, I just printed out what you sent me in the email. It's just black and white, you know, it didn't look great. Like, it's just like, it would be fun to be like, ta-da, you know, it's something that's like, I mean, this is expensive, I know, but maybe.
Oh, well,
Right.
color, this is different
Yeah,
than that. Yeah. It's no problem to make color I mean, we can make color copies here.
yeah, but I hear you.
I
like,
just,
they
there's
ended up in
there's that,
trash.
it seems simple, but
Yeah.
it just,
Okay,
What about like bigger poster size maps that we could give to galleries to have? That would be more or
it
less,
changes every month.
yeah.
So there's like a,
Make it a whiteboard and you can just,
I know. It's like project
I
up,
mean,
right?
the thing is,
Like a traffic sign.
what I know our gallery attendant at ECA will do is like pull it up on her phone and show people.
Yeah.
People can like take a picture of it,
Okay.
even, and like, I don't,
All right, I'll just say.
it's not
there's-
perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think sending it
yeah,
is like,
it's good,
is
right?
good,
Just plan, I
right?
just need
That
to
was not
plan to
happening
make.
2 months ago.
Yeah, that wasn't
Yeah,
happening
that's been a
before,
big-
so that's a new
You know
thing.
what, it could be a city job to
Yeah.
like doodle in and make stars and make it like into a really pretty map, you know, like someone that's sitting there beforehand, you know, like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
highlight where, you know, where to go, so. All right.
Maybe I could identify one location in each district that has a color printer, who could just print one for each gallery to
Yeah.
just have for people.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
that's-
figure
right,
it out.
That's
We're
good.
much closer.
Okay.
I feel like we're like 90% to there.
Really warm.
All right. I'm glad you brought it up. That one we're gonna fix. Okay. Next month, we'll have maps. All right. Art Floats Easthampton. We developed this event in response to what was happening at Cottage Street. I am gonna pass these around. Take one, pass it around, take one, pass it around. Because, so we just made these. The specs are on the back. So there's two different ways that people can participate. So this event is twofold. On the one hand, all community members of all ages, all experience levels are invited and encouraged to create a boat, a floating boat. You can take more. That's why I brought the whole stack. I'm like, Cindy's gonna wanna bring them to her students. And yes, so everyone can make a boat. You can drop off your boat, and then we're gonna float the boats in the pond. I have to talk to John Mason. I already talked to him about the boats. I didn't talk to him about this next part, which was the ECA coordinating committee, when we talked about this in the fall, had talked about expanding the idea and inviting all of the different arts and cultural organizations in the city of Easthampton to table at the pond, and we would really sort of make visible, and this is good for you guys to know too, all like our arts community, and really make visible the vitality of the artist community. And it will be like a resource sharing. It's like a lot of people don't know about, how to apply for a cultural council grant, or like that there's like art therapy for veterans taking place in the mills, and, how to become a member of Oxbow, and like all these different things. So one thing that I would like to do, like in the coming week, so I have to talk to John Mason. That's the Parks Director. I have never talked to him about setting up tables on the boardwalk. I know that there's gonna be some regulations in terms of allowing enough room for wheelchairs to comfortably get by. But also as an event, we've held many events on the boardwalk. We've just never set up a bunch of tables. So I wanna talk to him about that. My feeling is that if we can't set up on the event, we could maybe bring it over to the lawn over the, like I'll talk to him and I'll find out.
About how many people do you think, how many tables realistically? Would it be about
maybe
5 or so, or
No, I
even
think-
less, right? Or would it be more?
More. I would say maybe 12.
Oh, okay.
So here's what I would like to do. I would like to send a Google Doc out to this group and just like kind of brainstorm a list of who to invite to have a table at the
okay.
event. No, I think if we really like,
So you're really, you're spreading the net wide is what you're saying?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that would be it's a way to like utilize the opportunity.
Right, okay.
And kind of showcase like, wow, look at how much Easthampton has to offer. So we haven't,
Or for just interest groups.
I think people are welcome to like sell stuff.
Yeah.
Like
So
But-
kind of like individual artists who have studios.
not individual artists. It's more like groups and organizations. Yeah. But like Cottage Street Studios could have a table. Eastworks could have a table. Yeah. So yeah, I would love everyone's help to just, I don't want to miss any, I want to invite everybody. Okay, Google Docs, participants. Okay. I think that's it for that.
Just a kind of logistical question. So are these floating pieces of art going to be somehow tied?
Anchored to bricks.
Okay, good.
We've done this before.
Good, okay.
Big sculptures,
Yeah.
and John Mason was like great with it. It was up for weeks. It was crazy. They kept sinking.
I'm just afraid maybe it was a windy day
Mind.
that I'll end up over there,
No, I make floating sculptures, so I know a thing or two about anchoring. I think the big question is how long we're gonna leave them up for. So the idea was that we leave them up that evening and there's a room in each one for luminaries. So at night, there's this kind of like
Oh my God, so
sweet, beautiful kind of moment. The event itself is at 2 p.m. because that's when all the businesses are open, and I don't like to do events in the district if businesses aren't open, because it's like a missed opportunity there.
It would depend on what the boats are made of. If they're made out of cardboard or something that's gonna absorb a lot of water, you know. If you have them leave
they're-
it overnight.
They're
you know.
It
supposed
says
to
on the
float.
specs,
They need
yeah,
to
they
float.
have to float and they can't be made of materials that are gonna like seep into the pond.
Yeah, well, that,
We're gonna we're gonna be
Yeah,
there,
okay.
and I'm gonna have a little special section that's like the dry land exhibit. So we get to make a final
Nice.
call, like if there's glitter, if there's pom-poms, if there's any chance that this is like gonna sink, it's gonna go on the dry land little exhibition area.
Is I wonder when the people who do the boats,
Yeah,
when
they'll
they
be
start?
open. Yep, so
It's
I've already
good.
talked to them
Great,
and
yeah.
I've talked to the Nashawanic Pond Committee, and we're gonna loop them in to be involved in partnering with us.
They could give tours around the sculptures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're excited.
Unfortunately, I think that's UMass's graduation day. So I have to work very few Saturdays. So, I mean, just saying, I don't think I can be there, which is too bad.
Well, I'll talk to John Mason to see whether or
Yeah,
not we're
Festival of New
leaving
York.
them up for like overnight or for a week. If it's a big hit, could we do it for like a month to cultural cast? Probably not, but like I'll talk to him and we'll kind of come up with a plan. Awesome. Easthampton Cultural Council update.
Yeah, so I think it's been since our last meeting that we notified all of the grantees and let them know we had previously let them know they were accepted, but because of a snafu, we couldn't tell them exactly how much they got and give them the full like package, and that has gone out and we're starting to get paperwork back in. I had a little hiccup this weekend where I read the wrong due date, and I thought instead of March 15th, everything was due back on Saturday. It's Mass Saturday. So
Everybody was scrambling. to get
everyone
to-
scrambled. So long story short, we got a bunch of stuff early, which is great. And so we're on track to do all that. And I actually just wrote a press release this morning that I'm going to be sending out to the Gazette and Mass Live and thereabouts to see, just announcing that we have 31 new projects that are going to be taking place.
Awesome.
And we're going to have a reception in April for all the awardees, and we're talking about a public art project as well.
Cool. That's great. Do you know when the celebration will be?
We tagged, I haven't confirmed that date, but we were tagging,
I know we picked a date, but it's like
April, I want to say it's a Sunday, April, I have to look it up.
It's fine.
Yeah.
The only thing, we have a couple of events on Saturdays, but,
No, it'd be on
fine.
a Sunday.
and I bet they'd be different times anyway. Awesome. Great. Just very quickly, Easthampton Futures Project. So I'm gonna be finalizing that report. We've talked about this a little bit here, but I'm gonna send that out to everyone before it goes out. But my internal deadline is to do it in March. The other piece to that is that I would like, and I know we talked about this last month, I would like for the report to be adopted by City Council, like formally, as a gesture, as a demonstration in Easthampton that the arts is supported. So I talked to Allison, I talked to Barbara LaBombard about just what the process is like, and I have to get one or two city councilors to work with me on it, and then we will come up with a timeline and a process. It would be basically like a resolution. And I reached out to both Connie Denham and Felicia. And the two of them were very receptive to this idea. So I'm meeting with Connie tomorrow morning to kind of talk about process and timeline. And just kind of like, and a little bit about how it all works, or like if we release the report before it's adopted, you know, just kind of like how to do all that, and like what's the most effective way to do all that. So I will definitely have information for you all. One thing I had really wanted to have done by tonight, which I just didn't get to it with everything else going on. I wanted to come up with there was interest at the Easthampton Futures presentation. There has been interest in having a form, like a correlating form where people, community members could give feedback, you know, could chime in like what else they would love to see or what else is on people's minds, like to just have a formal way to capture that and to ask, rather than just sending it out and then hearing back from all sorts of people about all sorts of things. So I just want it to be a simple Google Doc, so it's like easy to track, easy to, you know, make little charts of, etc. But what I would like to do, what I will do is in the next couple of weeks, send you all maybe a Google Doc of like questions that I'm thinking about, and then you're please like just chime in about other things you think might be great to capture. Questions like, how satisfied are you with XYZ? Like measurable things are really, really helpful for us. And then also, what would you suggest? What else would you like to see? And also, I always like to ask about what people really like, because I think it's good to sort of give attention to the strengths, and so that we have that feedback as well. So I don't want it to be too long, but I was thinking it would be a great thing to have in place by tonight, and we could discuss it. But
is this for like art walk specific, or is this just like
no, Easthampton
all
Future,
arts
like arts? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so there will be some like correlation between them. So I think so you'll be getting all that from me in the coming, I think, like 2 to 3 weeks, realistically. And March 18th is the official 5-year mark of when we were set to release the report originally. So that's a little bit, I like a story like that. I like a framing like that. So that's motivating also. All right. So next on the agenda, so I put it on here as Art Workspace Easthampton. So just for, to make sure newer members are aware, Easthampton City Arts used to run a studio workspace program. When COVID started, one of the ways we transitioned was we made our galleries workspaces. So while we couldn't welcome members of the public in, we could welcome one artist in, and they, it was very clear right away what a valuable program it was. They were free of charge. They were 2-month residencies, and we had one at ECA Gallery in Old Town Hall and one at Map Space in Eastworks. In April 2022, when our regularly scheduled programming opened back up, ECA Gallery became a gallery once again, and we had all decided to keep Map Space as a residency program, studio residency, a workspace. And it was great. So we had that until June 2023 when we moved out of that space. And so it's been this ongoing conversation about whether or not that's something we wanted to continue or revisit or see about. We've looked into some other places, but nothing has panned out. And our city councilor, Tom Peak, is also a member of THIC, and they are in the process of purchasing the building that was once the massage school. And so Maud, who couldn't be here tonight because she's working on a public art initiative in Belchertown, Maud and I met with Tom Peak at the massage school a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, the ground floor is going to be a bar and a performance space, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it's really exciting to see all this. And the upstairs has basically 2 800 square foot studio spaces, is what I want to call them. I mean, they're just like, you know, big, beautiful spaces, and then 2 much smaller spaces. So we got very excited about the possibility of some kind of collaboration or partnership, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about some different things. I met with Ian, who is the person who's in the process of purchasing the building, this past week to just kind of talk through some, some semblance of like, well, what could this look like? And so I'm really glad that you're here. If you want to talk a little bit about like maybe just your vision for the space, and we can talk about sort of where we landed as far as things, like more things we need to learn and figure out.
Sure. So I've always wanted to get more involved with the arts and kind of trying to make a space for them. I went to school for painting at Mass Art. I do computer programming now, but yeah, I had envisioned that second floor being an art space anyway. I was going to try to just individually try to find artists who wanted to go in there. But partnering with ECA or anybody else to help kind of get that to a wider audience and make sure it's done right and all that sounds great. I don't know what else you want me to go into.
Yeah, so we started like talking, I mean, this is very exploratory. So this is just very like, I had no sense of like financially what the overhead would need to be for the second floor, what the timeline was like, whether that would be feasible as a municipal organization. Like if you needed renters tomorrow, we could not provide renters tomorrow, but that kind of thing. So one of the things that has been discussed, and again, very exploratory, and I'm just like sharing this with you all so that we're now all on the same page. Initially, like there are 2 much smaller rooms, and I thought, wow, that would be great for like the art workspace Easthampton. Like one could be a little writer's retreat and one could be a visual artist studio. And then when we were talking to Tom, he mentioned this idea that would ECA be open or interested in helping to manage rentals of the other spaces. So the really amazing thing, and like the exact dollar amount is like still TBD. But if, the rent for the entire second floor is around $2,500 to $3,000 a month, and they're 2 800 square foot spaces plus the 2 smaller ones, if artists are sharing those spaces, those are truly affordable studios, like in today's market in our city. And so I think that there is a very meaningful piece here. There's a couple meaningful pieces here where if ECA, so I think the access and availability of affordable studio spaces is like a very meaningful thing in and of itself. If ECA could be a part of that, that means that the city is a part of it. Like by means of, by way of ECA, it's also becomes a demonstration of a city through this like strategic and collaborative partnership to be involved in helping to provide artists in Easthampton with affordable workspace. One of the other things we talked about was a timeline on the front end and a timeline on the back end, or on like the future end. And in terms of like our next few months, like Cultural Chaos is Saturday, June 14th, like that's where I'm kind of focused on. So we were looking at like, this is just like, we're just having a conversation. But like, what if July 1st was the goal to have those spaces occupied? That feels, like a reasonable thing to me. And then one of the things we talked about the other day, I was explaining that I think that longevity is really important. So like, it's great to get new things started, but if it's going to end in 2 years, that's going to be like another moment of like pain for this city and for the artists involved. And so we were talking about how, important it would be to have like a longer term vision. Like, what if this was like a 10-year something, that it was really like there was an investment. There was a real explicit investment on everyone's part to say, this is really important, this is really valuable, and this is part of what we're doing. So there's some logistics because it is a bar and it is a concert, a place for loud music, a handful of nights a week. That could change. There needs to be some flexibility and awareness. Like there would have to be a real, understanding. It's not the right place for every single artist, but it's like the perfect space for so many artists. There's also an accessibility question where there's not currently, so there's a ramp to the first floor, there's a accessible bathroom on the first floor, but there is not an elevator to the second floor as of yet. So those are like, as a municipality who gets a lot of funding from MCC, who doesn't fund programming that's in a building that's not accessible. Like there are some logistical issues there. But I guess I would just say, I think it's worth exploring. I think a conversation, we'll talk tonight, but my vision for next steps would be to have a conversation with the mayor, to learn from her who else we need to be talking to.
Most of this is going right over my head because I don't
Really?
really
I'm sorry.
understand why it is the ECLA wants to become a rental agent for a building that we don't own, that involves the city all of a sudden, once again on private property. This is somehow or other, I'm not getting what you're talking about, or it's not syncing with me. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, they have an interest. You have an interest in utilizing the space for the arts. I get that part, but all of a sudden it's, well, ECA is going to act as a rental agent for those spaces. It's like, what?
I don't think we would act as a rental agent. And there's a lot of, we were talking the other day, like there's a lot of different forms it could take. I am very interested in ECA having art workspace Easthampton again and having space. If ECA could be involved in helping to, like, we're very connected to visual artists looking for space. So if we could be a partner in helping to help get artists in there,
Right.
but they're not going to be paying, I don't imagine that they would be paying ECA rent.
No,
That's not,
It's more about like facilitating ECA. It's a space that I would like to be able to provide for use if you have something that.
okay. Then there's going to have to be a contract.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean, really, a really detailed
Yeah.
menu of rights and responsibilities and so forth and timeline, because that's what we didn't have at Eastworks, and we know what happened there.
Yeah.
Like she was saying about longevity, the TIC is signing a 50-year lease for the venue
Yeah.
so that they have that like ownership in the building.
Right.
And that matters for things like grants that they're hoping to apply for. And so, I mean, I don't know if a similar timeline or locking in that way is something you'd want to do, but like the intention would be good terms as long as you want
Yeah.
them.
Is this a single individual who's buying the building?
At the
Who's
moment,
gonna be
yeah.
leasing it to you guys, or leasing some of the space to you?
Yeah, I'm purchasing the building
Okay,
and TIC is leasing the first floor.
right, okay.
From you.
From you, right.
So you'll own the second floor as well?
Yes, yeah, the whole building. The plan is to redevelop the third floor, which at the moment is an inaccessible attic. That'll probably take a couple of years. TIC has some plans for renovation on the first floor, which will also take a couple of years for the work they want to do to improve the venue over time. But that's more about scheduling. It's not like there's years of active work happening in the building. That's not what I'm referring to.
So I'm guessing, Ted, I think if I'm hearing correctly, that we would rent a space, maybe one space, maybe it's a bigger space, and then there's 3 other studios available, and then that we would match. It's almost like match artists with this other spaces versus, we are responsible for being the landlord or the or taking
Yeah,
money.
we
So it
don't
would just
want
be
to do that.
matching people
Yeah,
up
yeah, I know.
and being sort of the ambassadors, I guess, would be a good way to put it. The ambassadors of working with Ian and saying, hey, there are affordable spaces in Easthampton now. And so while it's not as many as we need or like, 3 is better than none.
Right.
And since we've had an issue, I think it's more like more than a gesture, but it is a big gesture of the city, if the city so
Like a
chooses.
demonstration.
It's a demonstration that the city is invested, because they would, the mayor would have to sign off on us renting a space for
Us
artist
meaning-
residency.
Us
Meaning the
Right.
city,
CA.
It's very complicated.
ECA.
We
So
rent
with
in
our
Old
budget,
Town Hall.
Yeah, we do.
We rent.
Yeah.
Like, there are other groups in the city who rent.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We're a city department and we
I
rent the
know,
space
I
from the
know.
city. Never mind, we won't,
Oh,
we keep going
I
over and
know.
over that.
We won't go there.
I mean, I would say I think this is very generous of you, Ian.
Yeah.
Like basically, from what I understand, you're allowing us to help choose who would be our neighbors if we were to rent a space. But which is very nice. And this building is going to be, and I assume this is your vision, it's going to be an arts space for Easthampton forever or for a long time.
That's what I would like.
Yeah.
And that's how we've been talking about it. I was talking to some, what is the word I want? About the exterior, like landscape design firms, about, what doing something out there might cost or what would be possible. Trying to think about that. You have a food truck. I was thinking maybe that would be a good place for one out there.
Yep.
These were things I was thinking.
We should talk about that separately, but because my point being, I think if this is going to be, a center for the arts in Easthampton, then Easthampton City Arts, it makes sense for us to have some footprint there.
At the very least, I want your input on things and to be talking
Right.
to you at a minimum. So
Yeah, and very much commended for you. I appreciate that.
And this is all, right at the Main Street roundabout there. City space is there. There's going to be a lot of redevelopment on Main Street. There's talk about like a little pedestrian plaza area. Like, when we think about the city and how it's developing, there's something really appealing to be a part of that, and then to be like, to not be a part of that. Like, this is happening. And I just think that it's just such a great opportunity to at least continue to explore what may or may not be possible. So, I mean, and really like what I'm gonna be asking this group tonight is for simply a green light to continue to explore, to kind of do some more learning from the like municipal perspective, like what's possible, what's not possible, like where we can like go, and where we should just like stay away from completely. And then, you know, obviously no decisions would be made without, you know, talking to you all. I had mentioned to Ian, I'm like, people are gonna wanna come like see the space. Like it's cool, you know, we should go down there and check it out, and you can kind of see like how fantastic and how like, you know, much these spaces really would lend themselves to the kinds of programming we're wanting to do.
I feel like we have insider information.
Yeah, it was at the unveiling of the Peggy Gross mural. Tom Peake was walking by, and I was like, "Hey, Tom, come over. We're celebrating the mural." And afterwards, he was like, "Oh yeah, this thing's going on. Like, we were thinking artist studios." It's like, so here we are. It continues.
Sounds really cool, and I don't blame you for wanting to kind of like connect up. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I just had to do a conflict of interest training for the state, and I guess that would be my one thing. Like, would you bump into that, like pulling artists that you know that you've like supported in residencies, funneling them into studios? Like, that's what I would explore, just because that could be right. I don't know, something that just.
Absolutely. The only thing I would say there is like when it came to like the matchmaking piece for artists renting, it would be or finding artists to participate in the studio residency program. It's like a total open call.
Yeah.
Like it's an open call for applications, it's an open call to like share your interest, and then there would be a review. It wouldn't just be like, oh, hey, I know you need space, there's this space, like in any formal capacity with ECA. I think that's a very important point.
As long as we're not subletting, I think we're probably fine. As long as it's just, we make a recommendation to you, Ian, this is who we, ECA, think you should rent this space to, but you're doing it.
I haven't thought too much about this.
I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds
Down the
fun.
road.
Yeah.
What would be in the workspace? Like, do you have machines and stuff like that the ECA, like what would, like, so people would come in and rent? Is that how it worked in the
Well,
past? Like you go in and pay and?
We had the old map space. Do you remember the old map space? There was a
No.
space in East
Oh,
Works
yeah,
on
yeah.
the first floor. It was
Right.
just
Like
an open.
1,000 square feet.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just a nice open studio, gallery, and it was tagged for, curatorial, shows and
Yeah.
whatnot. And then with the pandemic, we did a little open call, and people put in proposals of needing artist residency, and they went in and they just did whatever they wanted to do.
Okay, so that's the
We had
same idea,
tables
kind
and
of, with
chairs.
the workspace. It wasn't like a community, like maker space
No,
type
no,
of
no,
thing.
no.
Okay, all
It
right.
would be like
A
a
workspace for a
2-month,
residency,
Would
yeah,
bring in all their
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
it'd be like 2-month residencies or 3-month residencies
Okay.
or whatever we choose. And then, so that space would be more rotating artists
Okay.
because it would be 2 months, 2 months, 2 months. So
Yeah.
it would serve more than just one person.
And we would do an open call, and then tons of people applied. It was
Yeah.
very competitive. And then we would choose the year ahead.
Uh-huh.
And then for that program, there was always a public sharing at the end. So they had the workspace, and then during the pandemic, the public sharing would be like online or like an installation that's all windows. One of the wall was windows, so they could do like an installation in the windows, or people could like look in the windows. And then, when things opened back up again, people would have like an opening, like a or an artist talk, or it was really up to them, the public sharing that they wanted to do.
Got it.
And the nice thing, honestly, like, you know, I'm always talking about like capacity. It was very low lift organizationally. You know, it was like there was the open call, there was the review, there was the selection process, and then I would meet with the artist. I would, you know, everyone was really different in terms of the kind of support that they needed and wanted. And I was very kind of like, we could be very flexible and like meet each person where they were. And then they would design their public sharing, make the marketing materials, and then we would share it. So it was kind of like the artist was very autonomous for the most part. We were more of like created structure and space for them to kind of flourish in the ways they were looking to grow and work. Yeah.
It was a very
was
popular,
great.
it was a very,
People loved it.
people loved it. The artists that had the residencies just raved about it and went on to rent other spaces, and so it was like a springboard for some newer artists or artists that were new to the area. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
And there aren't a lot of artist residencies in Western Mass,
Yeah.
so it filled a niche that
Yeah.
there is not much.
And there are very few also of the ones that do exist, like at Mass MoCA, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Like you have to pay a lot for like a 2-week residency.
There's like the Malay colony over in Austerlitz.
Yeah, there's a bunch in New York, but
Did they get meals? No, you don't get meals.
Yeah.
some
No,
of them,
yeah.
my friend went to Malay.
Yeah, no, we're not
at your
providing
workspace.
that, we're not.
Yeah.
And
So-
we didn't even provide housing, we just provided workspace, so that is
It's still
another
really
thing,
nice, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that we couldn't provide housing some down the road if we had a space, you know, but that's a whole nother ball of wax, so.
Well, if the apartments open up upstairs, I was like, ooh, then we could have like an international residency.
And a
and
food
someone
truck.
Donuts.
Right.
And donuts in the morning, coffee
Unlimited
and donuts.
donuts.
I mean, that's what Zia Mays has done, right? Like Liz
Yeah.
Chalfin started 25 years ago with just like 2 little studios in the, you know, art and industry space. And then she like took over buildings on Riverside Avenue and then, you know, rents out her press, like all different levels and tiers. But I feel like she's found housing for people, you know, that come here. I don't know where, but
I think they have
they have their own little.
they have a apartment in that building, actually. So, yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
it is something down the road.
Yeah, cool.
And I guess-
Congratulations. That's
I know,
exciting.
it's exciting. And I guess the last thing I'll say is if I get the green light tonight to like talk to the mayor, continue conversations, see what would be possible. If we are gonna have Art Workspace Easthampton again, I would also like to talk as a committee about what we want it to look like based on everything we've learned, based on if this does move forward, like the new space, the new partners, the new possibilities, like maybe it's like for like, it's a 3-month residency. Maybe it I don't know. I just think it would also be an opportunity to kind of revisit what it is we want to be doing with it. Here's something to put out there.
So do we need to make a motion on whether we go forward on talking about this? I mean, is that something that, or is it more?
Continue to explore. If
To
people,
explore.
I mean,
I mean, we could throw that out as a motion and that way we can make it sort of,
And to
Move it
say
on.
that, like a motion to continue exploring with the mayor, so it's like
Right.
bringing someone else in.
yeah. So,
Sounded like a motion.
That's a motion.
Okay.
so does anybody want to make a motion to,
Steve
Actually,
just did.
I make a motion that we continue exploring this idea of having a ECA space at the new Thick building with Pascalina, Ian, and the mayor maybe getting together and seeing what next steps or next questions at least.
Does that feel like a fair?
Second.
Second that? Okay, who is, or no, I think we have to like vote on it, right? Just who's in
Or is there
favor?
any other discuss?
Is there anybody, well, before we go, maybe I'm going a little too ahead of myself. Does anybody else have anything else to say before we make this motion about it? All right, so the motion is made. All in favor? Yeah, or it's second, you seconded? Yeah, okay. All in favor? Okay, great. All in favor?
Unanimous.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the space. I mean, it doesn't have to be obviously
Yeah.
soon, but
I think that would be nice.
Can we have our next
is there a way,
meeting
can we
there?
meet there next?
Yeah.
We can't because it's not a public building.
Yeah.
But we could talk about setting up a time.
Personally, it also would help me.
Yeah, I think it will help. I
mean,
want
so-
you all to be
Visual,
there
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll meet you over there. I didn't think this would be viable because there's a million reasons why it wouldn't be. And I just like walked in and I'm like, oh wow, this is fantastic. Like, this is really something else. So I think it really would be great to be able to experience that. And I think it would be wonderful if we could do it as a group. So, yeah, why don't I send an email with some times and we'll figure out a time to do that.
Yeah, a little
Field trip.
field trip.
Field trip.
If you have a quorum, it has to be posted as a
Oh,
public
right.
meeting and
You're right.
accessible to the public, so
You're
you
right.
wanna do it.
We may need to do this in, can we do it in like 3?
What's your
Smaller
total
groups.
membership? Including vacancies?
6. There's 6 active members, including vacancies?
Yes.
9.
Like what is 9 is the,
5.
so 5 would be a quorum.
So yeah, we can go forward with that. Or we can invite the public, which would.
No. Not at this stage, I don't think. I know I'm being recorded, but I don't think we're quite ready for.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Well, the research.
So yeah, I will send emails out and we'll coordinate. Thank you, Allison, for reminding me.
All right, well, that's exciting. And congratulations, Ian, on, like, I know it's not a quite done deed yet, but congratulations on the whole
Project.
the whole thing,
Very
yeah.
excited.
Yeah. However, whatever happens, it's exciting, so, yeah. Anything else? We've got new business? Or we want to finish? Is there any more to say?
Oh no, the last thing I just want to say, the other thing I did not do is I didn't call Williston and find out about the bus. But I will now. March is
Just
going to
because it's
quiet
in the
down.
minutes doesn't, it's not binding.
No, but I said I would. I said I would, and I have not yet done it.
If you want, I was gonna follow up and then I forgot to, but whoever is the marketing director for Greenfield Savings Bank is the person to talk to who had the shuttle for Winterfest
Ooh.
that was going to.
The marketing director?
Yeah. Because I kept missing her because she was actually riding it. And so I was talking to someone who was like standing there, getting people a date. We're picking up
Greenfield
here.
Savings Bank?
Yeah, they were picking up here and dropping off at Eastworks and then going to Acadia.
Good networking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, maybe we get Greenfield Savings Bank sponsors
Exactly.
or pressure Easthampton
They
Savings
tag
Bank.
us a lot, Greenfield Savings Bank. So.
There isn't, it was one in Easthampton, is there?
All right, great.
Okay, cool. Thank you for bringing that up.
Mhm.
New business, anybody? All right, well then I guess the meeting is adjourned. All right.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.